One of the viewers wrote in and said, hey, you know, you sort of had this idea, or he had the idea that, or she had the idea that I was looking at a biscuit joiner versus a pocket hole jig. It really didn't have that intention. The intention was to show you that there are two types that you can make the same sort of connection with, and not to say that one is better than the other. I do have some places, I guess we'll call it reservation, with pocket hole jigs, and I think we should take a look at that and just see, is there a problem with a pocket hole jig on a piece of lumber like that? Coming up. Pocket joiner such as the small one here, these small kits, they're around $15, $20. So that's not much, you know, entry fee to get into it. For any tool to be $20 these days, that's pretty darn good for what it does. And I actually found out that there's this new one that I've run across that I'm really excited about, and it's this one here. It's the, it's a little different, and I really like what the features are. And I watched some reviews and said, you know what? I think I want to go ahead and buy one of these. As much as I do like Kreg and their tools, this pocket joiner, this little guy here, has really the first thing that caught my interest was it actually has the measurements on the side of the tool to show you where the alignment is for the thickness of the wood you're going to be pocket joining. And I thought that is fabulous, because if I pick up the Kreg, there's nothing on it, and you have to measure back with a tape measure back to a certain point, clamp it, and then, you know, do your pocket join. And I thought, how much easier? Who thought this out? Someone actually did some work. It has a magnet built into the top of it, so you can pick it up with your clamp, move it to another spot, and lay it down again. But it also has these alignment marks. So, made by a company, Milescraft. Apparently they do, it says they have always the better idea. Apparently they do have a better idea. Now there is one thing that I was a little bit off on with this. So be warned, if you decide to get one of these kits, because I already have the Kreg kit, that's great. I will probably continue to use the Kreg driver, which is a Robertson or square head type, and drive screws with it. But back to the whole thing with the biscuit joiner. Biscuit joiner is a strong, very strong way to make a connection. And a lot of times with the biscuit joining, if you do it and plan it out right, use good wood glue and all that, it can come out, you know, as an excellent connection. The problem I have with any of these type of pocket joiners where they're using a screw, the flathead side of the screw has so much surface contact, so that's a lot of your strength to your connection there. The other problem with a joiner of this type, and I'll just give you a demonstration here, is this is going to set back, now, did it wrong already. This is going to set back like this and come through. The head of the screw on a piece like this is actually going with the grain up to the next connection. And I'm going to show you why that's a bad idea. It's not going to be really strong. And the reason for that is whenever you're going with the grain like this, you don't have the strength to be doing a pocket joint. And I'll just take a screwdriver. I've made a slot here, and that's why. You just saw that. I mean, that just broke right out. But technically, just imagine in terms, that's the screw up against that type of grain work that's pulling this, say, to another piece of lumber, and that's where your strength is lost. You know, ideally, if you're, say, using one of these type of gizmos, you'd want to go, if you could, against the grain. Well, that's not always doable, say, if you want a long leg to, you know, come up to something. With a pocket jig, that's probably one of my fears, I guess, is when I assemble something, if I don't recognize the fact that I'm going with the grain into something, and my screw only has that small surface area against, you know, up against this, that loses all the strength of the tool. So what I do propose on this idea that if I was going to do this with, say, a biscuit joiner, I would have a slot running with the grain at that point, and going up into the next piece of lumber, I would be using some glue. I'll be honest, it would be a stronger connection. It's just a much stronger connection. Not to take away from these tools, because for $20, that's a lot of tools. much and strength loss. Now, if I had that slot this way, I could put the screwdriver in, I could pull this really hard. I would not be able to break that piece of lumber out of there. Nothing like that. And that's where your pocket joiner is going to fail, or could fail, depending on the type of project you got going on too. If it's just to say pin something to hold it in place, and you've got other things, there's no stress or something this way, because even a little bit of wobble this way creates that type of snap, and it's going to break it. So I just wanted to show that and explain that there's no real one versus the other, because really it's apples and oranges. A pocket joiner is $20. It's a very inexpensive item, and you can make a lot of great projects with these things. I really like this Milescraft, and we will probably get into it later on. Down the road, we will open this packaging up and we'll try it out with some things. The first problem I had with it was they include this pentalobe driver, which I have to run out and buy pentalobe screws. I've never seen it. Well, do they sell those at the home improvement stores? I guess they do. I don't remember seeing them. The other problem was this is with the square head. It fits the Kreg screws. So I guess intentionally what happened here was, I assume that these people are going to put out screws like this that you can buy to go with this kit. Now, I didn't see any for sale anywhere in any stores, so I really don't know where to get the screws for this. But the Kreg, I can go to local, like Lowe's, whatever, and pick up the screws I need and at the length or whatever, and buy a pack of 100 or something like that, so I'm ready to go. So there's no way to really break down the two tools, the biscuit joiner type operation versus a pocket hole jig. Pocket hole jig is awesome, and there's some great applications for it. So is there for strength if you're trying to do something with a biscuit joiner. And so you have that going for you. And I would actually, in fact, I own both, because there are some situations where I'm going to want to use the other pocket jig and think, yeah, it's okay. It's going to give me the strength. It's going to give me what I need. There's other situations, such as when I was making a top for a kitchen table, I had to go, the lumber had to be connected in like 1 1/4 by 1 1/4 pieces going across. Well, it was easier to just put 3 slots in and glue and keep building across and getting a very, very strong connection. Using this, I could have done that, but underneath it, I would be making how many holes, and I would have screws all the way along that way. Plus, I would still have to use the glue and clamp everything anyways. And so the biscuit joiner really was, in many ways, the best way to, that's my door. That's just, the wind just pushed it open. Cool. Looks like a ghost just came in here. Ooh. Anyway, good. Got it. Hey, thanks for watching Coffee and Tools. This episode 47. Probably get more into this as we get down the road, right? It's coming winter time, and that's when all the real wood projects come out.